A place where energy that will power you tomorrow starts. Pyeongtaek Port is connecting the world. Pyeongtaek Port is rising as a hub port of logistics in Northeast Asia, the center of global trade and a land bridge. Pyeongtaek Port has grown rapidly thanks to the blessed location and increasing Korea-China trade since its opening as an international trade port in 1986. Pyeongtaek Port achieved a feat of ranking first in handling car imports and exports for 4 years in a row and created a myth of surpassing 100 million tons of cargoes in the shortest time among ports across the nation. The port is making history in Korea. Location is essential to becoming a global port. Pyeongtaek Port is situated deep inside Asan Bay, a natural harbor that requires no artificial breakwaters. The port is free from natural disasters such as typhoons and tidal waves. Pyeongtaek Port maintains a water depth of 14 meters even at the lowest tide, allowing over 70,000-ton class vessels to come and go without waiting for the right tide 24 hours a day. Furthermore, thanks to its short distance to China, Pyeongtaek Port can cut down transportation costs and time as the optimum port to trade with China. Pyeongtaek Port is a gateway port to metropolitan areas and a middle region of the nation, which are the center of production and consumption in Korea. Pyeongtaek Port is accessible from all directions since the port has a perfect transportation network that includes Gyeongbu Highway, Seohaehan Highway, Dongso Highway, and high-speed national roads. Thus, the port can save logistic time and money. The railway construction project will connect Poseung and Pyeongtaek by 2019. The construction of the railway will turn Pyeongtaek Port into a global port in the 21st century. Global companies such as Samsung and LG are making the biggest investments in Pyeongtaek, where over 387 industrial complexes are located, including the Poseung National Industrial Complex. Pyeongtaek Port will be the logistic base for Northeast Asia through the development of not only the automobile and steel industries, but advanced industries such as the electric and electronics industries. Pyeongtaek Port is operating 62 berths for containers, automobiles, and steel products. The port will increase the number of its berths to 92 by 2030, while growing into an international trade port that deals with general cargoes. Pyeongtaek Port already ranked first for 4 consecutive years for automobile imports and exports by handling 1.45 million cars a year. The port has handled over 10 million cars in total. 10 million cars are as long as the circumference of the Earth. In terms of tourism, Pyeongtaek Port stands out. Over 500,000 passengers use car ferry services through this port a year on average. The figure is on the rise. These days, car ferry services are gaining ground thanks to port service convergence that mixes logistics and tourism. Accordingly, to catch up with this trend, Pyeongtaek Port is building a new international passenger terminal with 4 berths. As a land bridge to Northeast Asian logistics, Pyeongtaek Port is making efforts not only to play its role as an optimum port for Korea-China trade, but to grow into a global hub port. Port Hinterland will be developed into a general logistics cluster through 2 stages by 2020. The area is home to pre-delivery inspection centers of European and American automobile manufacturers. The completed first stage Hinterland was designated as a free trade zone that actively handles steels, electronics, auto parts, and manufactured goods. The second stage Hinterland will be designated as a second-class Hinterland and home to offices, houses, and medical, cultural, and tourist facilities. Global Pyeongtaek Port. Gyeonggi-do is ceaselessly investing and giving support to turn Pyeongtaek Port into a land bridge in logistics in Northeast Asia. Gyeonggi Pyeongtaek Port Corporation is making diversified efforts to promote Pyeongtaek Port with the support from Gyeonggi-do. Gyeonggi Pyeongtaek Port Corporation is actively carrying out port sales, not only for the management and development of Pyeongtaek Port Hinterland and the Poseung Logistics Complex, but for the opening of new routes and the creation of new cargo volume. Gyeonggi Pyeongtaek Port Corporation is implementing a wide array of social contribution activities for local communities. Pyeongtaek Port is at the center in the era of Korea-China FTA and the Yellow Pen. Pyeongtaek Port, with the biggest growth in the shortest time, will create a second myth as a land bridge in logistics in Northeast Asia.